Okay, we should be live now. Hello and welcome to my living room and the living room desk and the not so sealed shed. Anyhow, today I will do a baseless practice session, and I hope you hear me clearly. If you are happening to watch this live, please use the chat and tell me if you hear me or if you don't hear me. If you are watching this video later, feel free to tell me if the sound was good enough, but I will listen back anyhow. So this is a new setup. I'm completely trying out some new software. I'm sharing my screen, at least some windows, and I'm using this little tool here, this Remarkable, and this is my tablet where I set up a live view session, meaning when I draw something here like this, or if I with my superb handwriting, then you will almost see the same thing at the screen. I tried it previously, this live view, and sometimes when I've written a B, it displayed only a 3, and in the live view and on Remarkable it was still a B. So anyhow, let me erase this, and my idea is to take some notes. What I've done already is to identify 2 5s and such kind of chord changes in Quartz itself, and this will help me to use some of the ideas I have in a 2-5-1 walking setting. There are many, and yeah, I have to choose some. What I will definitely do is one thing to start on the E, because it starts with an E. If I jump to the it's this other. If I move to the Quartz sheet itself, the problem is I cannot scroll in this app. I have to go to Quartz. So this is page 2. Okay, this is page 3. This is the ad-lib walking baseline. You should see the same, yeah. And yeah, it starts with an E minor and goes to an A7. And one thing you can or eventually should do is to emphasize similarity between different parts of the song, which are actually almost the same. So in this case, page 2 and 3 have the same chord changes, almost in the same amount as the head does. So if you emphasize similarities, repetition, you use repetition to repeat different parts, which can the listener identify him or herself with the part and remember, oh yes, I heard the same thing previously, so I kind of like this song, and this will go subconscious in the listener. It's a good thing. I guess I am somewhere lost in my thoughts. So you should use repetition. Repeat whole bars. Use same notes at the same places, so the same fretting position. So if I want to use repetition, there are 2 points where I can anchor myself on. It's the beginning, where I'm having this E minor going to an A7, and if I scroll up to page 1, it starts on the 2nd fret of the D string, this E minor 7. And if I go to the next page, it's the guitar solo part. It starts again on the second fret of the D string, which is again an E. So for me, an obvious move would be to start it on the second fret of the D string with an E. And then go from this way, either up to the A, which is here on the I draw it in the notation form, but which is on the second string of the G string, second fret of the G string, or I could go down, which is the open A string, right beside the D string, and then I only have to fill in the gap between the bar, starting with E and then going to one of the A's. And there are some options. And the interesting is if you have ever looked at walking bass lines, chord changes, and watched one of my videos. I know I've created a lot, but in one of the videos I mentioned when I started out with Quartz around 1 month ago. No, it's around 2-3 weeks ago. Sorry. So I noted here the chord changes. When I started out with Quartz, I mentioned that 2-5 chord change is actually similar as a 1-4 chord change. Actually, it's a minor 1 and a 4. So every time you see a 2-5, you can shift your thinking and use the 2 as a root and the 5th as a 4th of this root. So, and I have here my cheat sheet. Let me show this. These are some. My notebook is falling apart. These are some major 2-5-1 chord change options I've noted. These are minor 2-5-1 chord change options, and the nice thing is, even though we have only 2 and 5, I could use these 2 and 2-5-1 options, actually the major ones, and it doesn't matter which one I use, because the 2-5 is always the same. You have always a minor 2, minor second. Actually, you have to take care if you have a flat 5 in it or don't, because the minor 2-5-1 is in the minor 2-5-1. The second chord is a minor 7 flat 5 chord, but the principle is the same. Then you have you can use the same chord changes with the minor or the major 2-5-1 in our case, because we have most of the time only 2 5s, and with some 5-1 actually there are 2, as I have seen it, and as I remember now, Derek mentioned there is actually another 2-5-1 which I haven't noticed yet, because there is a line break in the notation. Anyhow, mostly I have to figure out a 2-5 chord change, and then I have to figure out how I move from this 5th chord to the next one, which in the case of the next part it is an E minor to an A7, which is a 2-5, and this moves to, let me just quickly screen, to a G minor 7 to a C7. Yeah, and for this I have to figure out mostly this part here, because they are I don't have a cheat sheet yet ready, but if I do a lot of this, I will have a nice cheat sheet from going to from the root, from the first node, let's say root, to the minor fifth, minor seventh, sorry, because the between A and G you have two half steps, and so a whole step, and this is the minor seventh. From the minor seventh is G for the E, A. So anyhow, if I do a lot, I've looked at Quartz, and I noticed that many of these chord changes are moving between two fives, and the 5 and the next 2 is a minor seventh apart. So this will be actually the key for me to move along. So if I want to start out with an E minor, I will start on the second fret of the D string. Then I have maybe the basic part will be to for me to create a simple walking bass line with really quarter notes, and then I can add some articulation and dynamics to it, like 8 notes, ghost notes, and that's it, because you have 8 notes and ghost notes in the previous sections, so previous pages. It's obvious to add some on time, and those can be doubling the note you are playing or I'm playing, or I can simply move on and play a fifth in the same quarter. Yeah, but the first idea is to go ahead and create some nice chord progressions. So for this I have a 1 to 4 chord progression. It's a major 2-5-1, and there I could use the let me just write down some ideas what I could use in this case. There are some options. You can use let me note, this is 1, I will note the root of the key with a 1, 3, 5, and you will get the idea. I could do a walk from 1 to the minor third, the minor seventh, sorry, minor third, and the fifth, and then move to the next one. I could do. I'm looking at my cheat sheet, so I'm not that obvious currently in what I could do based on the chord changes, but there are some other options, and then I will write later on what note it is. You could do 1, switch up some parts, go to the minor 7th, then to the 5th, then to the minor 3rd, and then we will take a look at what these notes are and how they fit actually into a good walking bass line, or an academic walking bass line. And yeah, so there are some permutations of all this. So I could play root, minor 3rd, 5th, and let me just skim through the list if I do have some other. Yeah, I have some other options. There are some doublings. You double here, you go root 5th, minor 3rd, 5th, you go root 5th, minor 3rd, and you can have some permutations. And yeah, so let me take a look at some interesting. Let me erase this one. maybe I will erase that one too, if I don't have, how many? I have 3, and I will erase this one too, because you get the idea of permutation. And you always start with the root in this case, but sometimes you can actually be a bit tricky and don't start on the root. But for me, I would say this will be a good thing to start always on the root, because in that case I won't get messed up if I take a look at the lead sheet and then what I want to play. So back to the ideas, and then you have you can play one to a second, the first to a second, to a minor third, and then to a major third, or you can play a root to a minor 7 to the minor third, and then to the third, and you can play a 1 to the minor third, a 6th, and the 5th. Yeah. So, and I mentioned previously that I will take a look at how. Let me scroll a bit up so you can see what I'm noting here, and how those fit into the walk. Every time you arrive at the 4th. So these are okay. I noted some 4th, and you don't see anything. I guess it's my network. It's going a bit down, or the live view is off, and you don't get anything noted. Okay, it looks like the live view has ended, and I have no idea why. Yeah, anyhow, this is, oh, you have lost the part. So let me see, if I drop this back, it will maybe eventually come back at one time. So anyhow, every time you have the 4th of the same chord change on the next bar. Okay, synchronization has some issues currently, but anyhow, yeah. And with this, if you look at them, those are always diatonic approach notes, because every time you end, you go to from the 3 to the 4, or from the 5th to the 4th. So that's why it is interesting to use these chord changes. And in those particular cases, we're using the major, sorry, I mentioned diatonic, it's actually diatonic in these two cases, and those are chromatic approach notes after the minor third. And yeah, if you use something like this for root, 5th and minor third, and then you arrive still at the 4th at the end, and then in this case is a diatonic approach again. Yeah, that's it actually. And now if I erase these markings here, I can continue on and write down what these notes are. So I will be a bit slow in this case, and just to give an example on how my approach is. So this case will be an E, going to a D, if I don't want to go to any D, then minor third is say second isn't, it's a G, and the fifth is a B, and then we arrive at the A. And after I noted this down, I can easily use my previous knowledge. So I'm going again from the E to the F sharp, then again to the G, and then to the G sharp, and then again to the A. So, and this will be, this part is a nice chromatic run to do. Yeah, sorry for my voice. So, and yeah, the same goes here, E to D, to G, to G sharp, and then to an A, and again E, to G, then to C sharp. Is it a C sharp? No, it's a C, and then to the B, and then to the A. Yeah, I really rarely utilize the sixth in my baseline creations, so I'm not aware what the sixth of the E minor chord or in the E minor scale is, but I would say it's a C. If not, then correct me in the comments below or anywhere else. I'm open to any suggestion because learning is the key. And here again, E, E, B, and then G, and then again A. And actually, that's it. And these are the building blocks I can utilize further in my baseline creation, and again with any chord change. So these are the basics, and my idea is to build up something with these building blocks, and as I mentioned at the beginning, I will use repetition, and repetition is not just on the first note that I will start on the second fret of the D string using that E as the root of the whole page. And what I will do again is to end in a similar fashion as the second page ends, and which is, if I go back to the PDF and scroll to the bottom, it's that part here. This E flat 7 going to a F major 7, and for this I will utilize the same structure as I've done or as it's done by Simon Peter King in his notation. I will definitely end with the same, I would say that I will use the same bar as he does. So first fret of the D string. That's actually interesting. Yeah, first fret of the D string, then open G, then B flat. There's a fly on the window. B flat on the G string, so the third fret, and then E on the D string, and then the F, the third fret on the D string. So that is a fixed point, and if I have my fixed point at the beginning, so that I will start on the second fret of the D string, and I want to arrive at this bar, maybe one option would be to build the whole bass line from the back, up from the back, because I know where I want to arrive, and then I can go back how I want to arrive at this point. So this is actually the plan, and yeah, I promise that it will be the walking the walk, but I am not ready yet with my knowledge, and I don't want you to watch myself continuing on with ideation how to create a bass line. But my plan is I will sit down with Quartz and I will create a walking bass line with these ideas I've mentioned previously, and really focusing on quarter notes except for this part at the end. So it will be fun and a tough challenge to move on, and maybe I will give you an introduction on into my bass line and what my idea was when I created it. And maybe if I'm done with that, I will go back to the second page, analyze it, how that bass line is constructed, and then I will maybe get some new ideas, new options, and then go back to the page 3 and rewrite my idea. So anyhow, thank you again for watching, and I will see you in the next session, which will be hopefully one with a bass in my hand and back in my shed above me.